You got fined for episode 1?
Dude, they fined me $1,500.
If I'm not mistaken, like, all she said was talking about, the refs need to protect. I'm pretty sure. Was it not for her saying the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark? I'm pretty sure that's what she essentially said. The refs need to protect Caitlin Clark. And like Caitlin Clark said, finally someone did it. Like, she basically talked about being like the refs need to protect the face of the league.
Sophie Cunningham just went off on the WNBA, and she's not holding back this time. After watching teammate Caitlin Clark miss her 17th game of the season, and seeing stars all across the league dropping with injuries, Sophie finally said what a lot of players are thinking but are too scared to say. On her Show Me Something podcast, she basically told the WNBA and her fellow players, stop complaining, toughen up, and understand the grind. And trust me, this has the entire league buzzing. Let's break down exactly what Sophie said, why it's controversial, and how this plays right into the Caitlin Clark injury scandal that has taken over the WNBA. First, let's set the stage for this firestorm. Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenom and face of the league, has now missed 17 games this season with lingering injuries. The Indiana Fever star has been dealing with the physical toll of her first WNBA season, and it's not just her. This year, it feels like half the league's biggest names have spent time on the sidelines. Napheesa Collier, Breanna Stewart, and even rookies like Angel Reese have been banged up. Fans are frustrated, coaches are frustrated, and let's be real, the league is feeling it too.
We were talking about like our first week, what people had to say. Well, the WNBA fined me for
Nose! You got fined for episode 1?
Dude, they fined me $1,500.
The WNBA is in the middle of its most hyped season in years thanks to Caitlin Clark, and yet the storylines have been dominated by injury reports. Every night someone new is in street clothes. Every week headlines are filled with updates about groin strains, ankle tweaks, and sore knees. And fans are asking the big question, why is this happening? Some blame the condensed schedule, where teams are forced to play back-to-back games in a league that usually only plays 40 regular season games. Others point to off-season wear and tear, with many players competing overseas or in off-season leagues like unrivaled. Enter Sophie Cunningham. She sees Caitlin Clark suffering, she sees her team grinding, and she finally snaps. Her reaction? Not to blame the league, not to blame the coaches, but to throw down a challenge to the WNBA, to her teammates, and to every player in the league. And that brings us to her now viral comments. This is where Sophie Cunningham took the gloves off. On her podcast, her co-host West Wilson brought up the back-to-back games and how the WNBA's condensed schedule might be behind the rash of injuries. And Sophie? She didn't sugarcoat a thing. Her words. Here's my thing on this. We are always going to have back-to-back games because our season is so short, and they're trying to cram as many games in. Then she went further. If we're asking to get paid more, then we're going to have to produce more product. Boom. Mic drop. That's the kind of blunt, unfiltered take that makes headlines. And let's be real. This is why fans either love or hate Sophie Cunningham. She's not afraid to challenge the league or her own peers. She's basically saying, yes, the schedule is brutal. Yes, the injuries are piling up, but if we want the WNBA to grow, if we want the big paydays and TV deals, we can't keep complaining about the grind. That's a hard pill to swallow for some veterans. Many players feel overworked and underpaid, and Sophie just told them the harsh truth. More money means more games, more product, and yeah, more risk. Her take hits even harder because she's living it. Sophie is a physical, hard-nosed player who throws her body around every night. She's not the superstar getting 20 shots a game. She's the one doing the dirty work, taking charges, and diving on the floor. When she says, I get paid to play, not complain, it's coming from someone who embodies that grinded-out mentality. And let's not forget, this is all happening with Caitlin Clark on the sidelines.
And now Sophie Cunningham joins the list of WNBA players with a podcast or an outlet like that. Of course, there are plenty. Angel Reese has hers, and the Stud Buds have their platform. So there are plenty of WNBA stars with an outlet like that. And now Cunningham has Show Me Something with TV personality West Wilson. So the debut episode came out today.
Sophie is watching her teammate, the biggest star in the league, get battered by the WNBA schedule and physical play, and her message is clear. This is the reality of chasing greatness. You can either adapt or break. Of course, Sophie Cunningham's comments didn't just disappear into the void. They set off a firestorm in the WNBA community. Some players privately agreed with her, but publicly? This kind of blunt honesty ruffled feathers. Why? Because Sophie isn't just talking about the league, she's talking about her peers. She's basically telling fellow players, if you want more money and more exposure, you can't turn around and complain about playing more basketball. That's a line that hits differently in a league where players have long fought for better pay, better travel, and better conditions. And let's be clear, the WNBA schedule is not for the faint of heart. Teams are flying commercial, dealing with delayed flights, and then playing back-to-backs. This isn't NBA luxury travel. Sophie knows that, but she's also saying that reality doesn't change the fact that the league needs product to grow. Her take is especially explosive because of the timing. The league is having a historic season in terms of viewership thanks to Caitlin Clark. Every network is carrying Fever games. Arena attendance is at an all-time high. The spotlight is bigger than ever, but so is the pressure. By calling out this complaining culture, Sophie basically challenged the entire league to embrace the grind instead of pointing fingers. She's saying, you can't have it both ways. You can't demand bigger checks and then want fewer games. That's the kind of comment that makes other players and even league executives squirm. But it also sparks conversations fans can't look away from. And it's why Sophie is becoming a lightning rod. She's now at the center of the Caitlin Clark injury conversation, not because she's blaming anyone, but because she's refusing to let the league or its stars off the hook. And in sports, that kind of honesty is rare and polarizing. This is where Sophie Cunningham's personality goes from controversial to absolutely essential for the Indiana Fever. Her fiery comments on the Show Me Something podcast aren't just talk for clicks. This is who she is. This is what she brings to the court. And right now, that attitude is fueling a Fever team that refuses to crumble even as their superstar Caitlin Clark remains sidelined. Think about what this locker room has been through. They've had the weight of the WNBA's spotlight on their shoulders since draft night. Every road game has been a circus, every arena sold out, every opponent bringing their most physical game because they want to be the team that shuts down Caitlin Clark. And then, boom, their rookie sensation goes down with injuries, missing 17 games of the season. A young, rebuilding team like Indiana could have folded. A locker room without leadership could have crumbled. But that's not what happened. Instead, this team found an identity, and Sophie Cunningham is at the center of it. When she says, "I get paid to play, not complain," that's not just a catchy line. That's a mission statement. She's the one diving on the floor for loose balls, jawing at opponents, and hitting clutch threes when it matters most. She's showing her teammates that toughness isn't optional. It's the standard. And look at the result. Aaliyah Boston has blossomed into the dominant two-way force everyone predicted. Kelsey Mitchell is confidently stepping into late-game shots and carrying stretches of the offense. Natasha Howard is doing the dirty work defensively, owning the paint and setting the tone physically. Even the role players, Sophie herself, Ari McDonald, Chloe Bibby, are playing with a level of confidence and aggression that screams, "We're not waiting for anyone to save us." This mentality is contagious because it comes from a real place. Sophie Cunningham isn't a player who coasts on talent. She's carved out her WNBA career through effort, grit, and playing through pain. When she looks around that locker room and tells her teammates to embrace the grind instead of complaining about it, it hits differently. It resonates.
I think they need to say it. Like, Sophie Cunningham, and by the way, like, unless Sophie Cunningham may or may not have bought a monetized channel, I doubt it. I doubt she purchased a monetized channel for the podcast. But like, her first I'm not joking when I say this. So she probably has gotten approved for monetization off that first podcast.
The Fever's winning streak during Caitlin Clark's absence is proof of that mentality in action. They're not just squeaking by, they're outworking and out-toughing teams that used to circle Indiana as an easy win. They're building a culture that says, no excuses, only results. And when your vocal leader is willing to challenge the league, the schedule, and even the culture of the WNBA itself, that kind of fearlessness becomes your team's personality. So while the league debates whether back-to-backs are fair or if the schedule is too harsh, Sophie's Fever are out there doing the work. And make no mistake, this edge, this raw, unapologetic edge, is exactly what's going to make the Fever terrifying once Caitlin Clark returns. They've been forged in adversity, toughened by scrutiny, and united by a teammate who refuses to back down from the truth. And that brings us to the big picture, the part that makes this whole saga bigger than a single podcast, a single fine, or a single injury. This is about the birth of the Caitlin Clark era in the WNBA and how it's being shaped by controversy, culture, and a whole lot of noise. Let's zoom out. Caitlin Clark hasn't played in weeks. She's missed 17 games. Yet the league still revolves around her. Every headline is about her return timeline. Every broadcast cuts to her reactions on the bench. And now, even her teammates' words spark viral debates and league-wide discussions. That's not just star power, that's cultural gravity. Sophie Cunningham's "enough" moment is a perfect snapshot of this era. One teammate defending Clark while challenging the entire league triggers think pieces, social media wars, and TV debates. And it does something else too. It galvanizes the Fever's identity. This team isn't just building a contender, they're building a brand of basketball and a culture that fans can rally behind. It's blue-collar, chip-on-the-shoulder basketball. It's a locker room that thrives on being doubted, scrutinized, and even fined for speaking the truth. And at the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, the lightning rod who generates both the love and the hate that fuels this story. When Clark finally returns to the lineup, she's not coming back to the same team that started the season. She's walking into a battle-tested locker room, one that has been hardened by the grind Sophie keeps talking about. This is a team that's proven it can win without its star. A team that's tasted adversity, built trust, and embraced a collective edge. And that combination, Caitlin Clark's transcendent talent meeting, Sophie Cunningham's no-nonsense mentality, might just be the formula for a WNBA takeover. Because here's the truth. This league isn't just about skill. It's about storylines, drama, and attitude. The Fever have all three in spades. The rivals? They're either irritated or intimidated. Some veterans have bristled at Clark's stardom. Opponents have tried to rough her up, foul her hard, and send her a message. But all that's done is make her and her team more compelling. And Sophie's recent rant is like the exclamation point. The Fever aren't here to beg for sympathy or adjustments. They're here to own this era, no matter how much noise surrounds them. This is why the Caitlin Clark era is bigger than basketball. It's about a culture of resilience, a team that thrives under pressure, and a rookie star who can command headlines from the sideline. With Sophie Cunningham lighting the fire and Clark ready to ignite it on the court, the WNBA is watching the rise of its most polarizing, must-watch team in years. So when we look back on this moment, the podcast rant, the injury drama, the no excuses mentality, we're going to see it as the spark that defined the Indiana Fever's identity. Controversial, fearless, unstoppable. And when Caitlin Clark is finally back dropping logo threes and running the show again, the league won't just have to guard her, they'll have to deal with a Fever team that's been forged in the fire of this controversy, ready to take over the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark.
Like, you have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. We call her CC. CC. for even when I wasn't on her team, like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But
Right.
there's just more